Good evening, guys. Thanks for joining me. Another episode of Chat with Matt, episode number 159 or 160, whatever it is. Thanks for showing up. We appreciate your support. Now, before we get into it, if you can just stop for a second, like take a minute, take 60 seconds, pause this podcast, but make sure you come back. Go to iTunes, leave me a whatever you think about. I'm not even going to say 5-star. Leave me a 5-star, but I'm not going to say that. Leave me a review, an honest one. It helps us get our rankings up. But I've got some good news for you. We've hit top 20 podcasts in Australia. I actually checked what we were ranked in Italy, and it was like in the 100 somewhere. So I'm gonna have a word to my cousins. Share our support in Italy. So if you're listening in Italy, get your game together. Get the word out there on the streets. Support me. Support your brother. Anyway, guys, let's get straight into the show. But today's podcast, we're going to be talking about where most people fuck their diet up. Sorry about the language, but had to use it. It's not the same if you say, see, if I would have said where most people F their diet up, just doesn't sound the same. You got to drop an F-bomb every now and again. So today we're going to go straight into where most people F their diet up. Now, there's two things we look at when looking at a diet. There's a physical and there's physiological. And we look at these two things. Now, the physical things, like obviously how you look physically. And then there's how you feel. So how you feel is your biofeedback. So things like your energy, your sex drive, your mood, your sleep. We're looking at all these factors. All these factors will determine if you are in an actual calorie deficit, or if you are you in a true deficit? Because let's face it, as the saying goes, if you are in a calorie deficit, you should lose weight. Now, if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're simply not going to lose weight. Now, you're either gaining weight, which means you're in a calorie surplus, which means you're eating above your mainline. Your set point, or you're at maintenance, which is your set point. Nothing wrong with that. If you're eating below that, you're simply in a calorie deficit. Now, one thing we look at when I talk about restoring your metabolism, where 95% of people must start with, and most people that come to me, that's where they start from. Because if you're eating 1,200 calories, guess what? We can't get you eating 700, 600 calories. You're going to lose weight at 600, but guess what? You are not going to sustain this, and I just would not recommend that. Now, things we look at. How do you know if your metabolism, we won't use broken, but has adapted, which means your body's defense mechanism has turned on, and your body's now a fat storer, not a fat burner? How do we know? Number one thing is hunger. Now, you're eating 1,200 calories. You're probably eating 5 to 6 times a day. You're training 5 to 6 times a week. Let me say that sentence again. You're training 5 to 6 times per week, and you're not hungry. That's a teller that your metabolism has adapted. Now, the second thing, you've got no sex drive. So 0 sex drive. You're moody. Your mood's up and down. You're constantly pissed off. There's always things affecting you. That's number 3. You got poor focus throughout your day. You can't focus. You're just struggling to get work done. You can't sit there, and it's been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. These are all signs, beyond the physical, that you're metabolically adapted, nutrition terms. So where do most people go wrong? They go on a diet, and I've said this a lot of times before. So they stay in this diet for such a long period of time. They stay there for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years at 1,200 calories, and they still expect to see a result. Well, let me tell you, until you get away from that, get out of that calorie deficit, that's the only way you are going to lose weight, guys. Yes, you need to be in a calorie deficit, but you need to control how long you are in that calorie deficit for. Let me repeat that. Yes, you need to be in a calorie deficit, but you need to control how long you are in a calorie deficit for. And if you're not dieting at specific intervals to keep your metabolism healthy, What are you doing? And I'm not having a dig at you guys. Don't take this personal, because if you feel stuck right now, times that by 10, that's where I was. That's where I was before I figured this out. I thought I had to restrict myself. I thought I had to do paleo. I thought I had to eat chicken and broccoli and just forget about calories. But the truth is, if you want to lose weight, calories do matter. And you must go through a phase where you do track your calories once in your life. Once, just to understand the almond peanut butter. Yes, it could be healthy, but you're probably consuming 3,000 calories eating that jar. It's good to know these things. Or that pizza that you had on the weekend. You know, you had a full day of eating, full day drinking, and then you went and had that pizza, and now you've consumed 6,000 calories. Nothing wrong with that. I had some pizza on the weekend, and I had some pasta last night. I had some pizza at lunch today. Honestly, nothing wrong with it. I'm not against eating what you love. But if you're never aware of what you're consuming or where you're going wrong, guys, you're going to constantly fall for that same error. So it's about amending your errors as we go on. Now, as I said, where most people go wrong is they stay on the same amount of calories. They don't take breaks. My clients, they diet in specific intervals. So considering your metabolism is healthy and you've done the restore phase, so we've gone back, we've restored your metabolism, we've got your energy back, we've got your mood back, we've got your sex drive back, we've got your focus back, and we've got your, what was the other thing? We've got your sleep and your hunger. You're getting hungry finally, because most people don't understand that once we start giving them more food, and actually we'll go in how to fix that first. We'll go into that later. But what most people don't understand is you should be feeling hungry. Hunger is a good sign of your metabolism working. If you're not getting hungry on low calories, it simply means you're under stress, you're not sleeping, and you're metabolically adapted, which means we do need to go through that restore phase. Now, the best way, like let's just put this out there. If you want to get fatter and lose weight, the best way to do this is do not track your calories. Eat low protein. Eat majority carbs and fats, and just forget about protein. Now, if the scale's going down and you were eating fats, carbs, that is the best way, guys. Best way you're going to get fatter and lose weight. But last time I checked, we don't want to do that. So can I tell you how we're going to actually get this weight off safely? Number one, we're going to prioritize our protein. And I know I sound like a broken record, but protein is king. It preserves your lean muscle tissue. Now, fat tissue, muscle tissue, they're two different things. So what people think is they were once a bodybuilder. Now they've gained a bunch of fat. They've lost their muscle. No, you haven't lost your muscle. You've just grown fat over that layer of muscle. So let me just tell you a quick story. I had this client. I was talking to her today, right? She had COVID. Now we're in Australia, this is in America. So she had COVID in the States, and she said she lost 7 pounds, which is about 3 to 4 kilos. So she's lost weight. And her question was, Matt, I was eating 1,600 calories before, and I was holding my body weight. Now I got COVID. I was sick for a period of time, and then I just wasn't training, and I lost 7 pounds. Now I went back to eating 1,600 calories. Why did I gain weight at 1,600 calories? Where before I was eating 1,600 calories. I've been there before, but I wasn't gaining weight. How does this happen? Let me tell you how this happens. She lost a bunch of weight. Not a bunch of weight. She lost some weight. Now that weight, it's most likely muscle that she's lost. So she's lost muscle. Now, when you lose muscle, guys, your metabolic rate, which is your metabolism, drops. So it was here before. She lost weight, but the weight she lost was not fat. So her metabolism has now dropped. So she's come back after losing that weight, and she's come back and eaten up here. But remember, her body's down here. Her body thinks, look, 1,600 calories. We've been there before, but now I'm lighter. So she goes back to eating how she was before. Now she's lighter. She's lost some muscle. So she starts gaining weight because her body's like, no, the new norm is below 1600 because we've lost some muscle. My metabolism is now lower. My home is lower than 1600. So when she went back and ate 1600, she started gaining weight. That's the importance of eating protein, because protein is the only thing that's going to preserve that lean tissue, which preserves your metabolism, which keeps your calories nice and high so you do not regain weight after cutting. All right. Hope I got that. Right. Now, how do you restore your metabolism? Restoring your metabolism, before I get into that, food is a vehicle of recovery. Let me repeat that. I even wrote that down. Food is a vehicle for recovery. And how true is that? To get out of so if you've been constantly dieting for years and years and years, food is the vehicle to get out. Now, we don't reduce food. If you're eating 1200 calories, we do not reduce it. We look at stress. We fix stress first. I know, crazy, hey, because we're not talking about calories. So we reduce stress. We get you sleeping more. We get you increasing carbs. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. We get you toning down your training. So you might be training 6 days a week. We might get you training 3 days a week. Because what's that going to do? That's going to control your stress. All right. So the better we can do that, the better we can put you in a position to start restoring your metabolism. We're going to increase your water intake. We're going to increase fiber, which if we just focus on fiber, that's going to improve your food quality. And we do these things first, and then we give your body more food. Now, the big question, what if I gain weight? And guess what? I don't know if you're going to gain weight along the process, because the goal is not weight loss. Now, there's some very lucky people, hyper responders they're called, who we increase their calories, and guess what? They lose weight along the way. That just means their metabolism is super efficient. Now, we've got the other people on the opposite end of the spectrum who gain weight, which just means that the metabolism doesn't adapt to the stressor. But the people that gain weight fast, on a positive, when we put them in a calorie deficit later, so once we build them up, once we restore their metabolism, now once we drop calories, bang, weight falls off them because their metabolism does not adapt as fast. Whereas the hyper responders who, as we increase calories, the people over here who lose weight as we increase, when we drop their calories back down, their metabolism is so efficient that it adapts fast. So they're going to hit plateaus much faster. Now, doesn't matter where you're at, we can fix you. We diet at specific intervals for this reason, to break through those plateaus. But that's one for another one. That's one for another podcast. All right, guys? So where most people fuck up their diet is right there. We've said it all. I hope you got something from today's episode, today's podcast. Share it with a friend. Guys, honestly, I truly believe this podcast I just shared, you need to rewatch it, take some notes, because this is everything. And I truly believe once you understand that you need to get out of a deficit and you can't spend the rest of your life there, you need to control how long you're actually in that calorie deficit, your life will change, man. And just want to thank you for your support. So if you got something from this podcast, share it with a friend, leave me a 5-star rating and review, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, guys, peace out.